Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. This is Crossy, and we have another game for you. Killer Gaming Season 2, week number 4. Medieval Esports and Plasnite Gaming. Going to be squaring off against each other. The knife round is underway, so we are straight into the action. An absolute pleasure to bring you that last game. A special guest, Switchblade J. Always good to have him involved. I'm going to try and keep up the same level of hype for this game, flying solo for it as we recap the game that was played out yesterday, and be looking forward to see what happens with this. Team Plasnite already wrapping behind. Got two players over towards the B, throwing the fake, but the bomb is making its way A. Going to be ramp. The fastest way to get in. One player coming in from Palace. Disillusion coming in from the connector. Going to do what he can with a one tap straight away on Hobot Nika. That's going to be a bit of a mouthful as Benjamin with a frag on Titus for Team Plasnite, bringing it back to a 4v4. Breeze trying to tap away on a player towards short as Disillusion working from the connector. Got his third one tap to the dome with the silenced USP. Make it his fourth as he cleans up the Plasnite side, and in comes the defuse from Medieval Esports. Medieval had a little bit of a tough time last time out on stream, which is a real shame for them. Going to be looking to put in a stronger performance here against Plasnite. Fruity straight away, team captain, go launch a nade to the top of mid, which is going to do some serious damage, you would have thought. He's taken down to 9 points of health, but down goes Benjamin, and Shady down to 16 points of health. He's got a fear nades. Breeze able to come in and clean up nonsense from short. Medieval looking to get mid presence straight away. Breeze with another. Make it his third tapping away towards the top of mid. Hobot Nika last man standing against three players of Medieval Esports. UMPs in hand. Breeze doing some serious work. 3 frags with the MP7. All weapons that will get you a 200% kill bonus for every frag that you're able to pick up. So well worth going for. I think Famous is attempting by. It used to be that the ump was the weapon of choice in that situation. Few tweaks come in, as is often the way, various patches and the like. The ump became less effective, and you would either go for the Famous, which became the new ump for a while, and then teams also started to get some use out of the MP7, which has become my preferred choice. You do get that extra bit of cash in the bank for every frag that you pick up, advantage number 1, and it is pretty effective. Even if it's spamming through mid-window, Nonsense sees something through the smoke. We had the advantage of X-ray, but sometimes you can just catch a leg. And you see he was able to track the path of the player, move through, and continue his spray down. That's going to be opening Plasnite's account once again. You wouldn't put it past Medieval to go for the retake. The smoke's come in. Titus, though, uses a gap in the smoke to catch Nonsense. Shady from underpass, able to get Raven to death as he tries to rotate in. Just rolls off the tongue, that one, Raven to death. Enjoy saying that. As Bracken, he's going to get the bomb plant down. Breeze last man standing. Cleaned up 3 players with the MP7 in hand. This time with a more powerful M4. Going to be looking for a face that he can spam for. It's Shady coming in from behind, as he was in underpass just before that. Really, really solid work from him. And Plasnite, they've got themselves into the bomb site on more than one occasion. They're now able to put their first round on the board. 2-1. Fruity taking control of the mid window with the Famous. Dealing with the player up towards short. It's a thankless task, try to deal with mid-window and face it. 2 players in connector. Benjamin finds one of them, that's Fruity. Shady able to get Titus as well. Breeze going to try and just sit close, hoping to bait a couple of Plasnite players in to connector if he can, hoping that I think that they wouldn't put a third man in there, and he is able to get one on Nonsense. Hobot Nika going to try and crab walk through, and is able to crab walk through. Bracken catches Disillusion, worried instantly with a call from his teammate that there's men in connector. And Nika cleans up his second of the round, making some serious work with these AKs early doors. And Plasnite now put their second round on the board, bringing it to 2-2. These rounds powering through in pretty quick succession on Mirage. Mirage is kind of like the new Dust 2, if you like. The teams that you can play as a mix, very mix-friendly map. But without the same boredom, I guess, that comes with Dust 2. Molotov's got a Cause Fire. Cause Fire, of course it is. It's a Molotov. And Raven to Death has to dance away. Got a little toasty on his feet. And he's able to get flushed out the window and taken down. Tightest last man standing. But I used to hate commentating Dust 2. I'd look at it with disdain as soon as I see that in the map pool, because you can guarantee that a team that is super aggressive, super mixy, can go and just out-frag other teams and not have to worry too much about strategies, can put in a huge T side. And, you know, too often the setup would be, let's hold mid and get mid control, and then with 30 seconds left to go on the clock, let's push somewhere. End up being one of the most tedious things to ever commentate. At least when you're playing on Mirage, you do have a bit of mid control at times, but with it being shorter range, it's more likely that there's going to be engagements coming in from both sides. And while it's not the be-all and end-all, certainly something that you want to take control of if you can. As the B push comes in, Plasnite have managed to get themselves pretty comfortably out of the window and the balcony, etc. Come through unabated. Now the retake starts to come in. Fruity doing some good work from short. Nika with the spray down on Disillusion as he tries to make his way into Kitchen. Cuts him off before he can get too far. Raven to Death caught on short. And Plasnite now bring themselves a 2-round advantage. 4 on the spin for them. 4-2. Shady leading the charge. Seems to be playing as the team lurker. Comes in from behind on more than one occasion, catching these Medieval Esports players on the back foot. A couple of players looking to get that mid control. Medieval on the pistol eco. Tempted to push beyond the ramp. Haven't done that yet. Would have pretty much been an AK spray down for Nika. Could have picked up 2-3. Titus walking back towards the site, peeking towards the connector. Plasnite going to take control of connector. Something that Luxor Esports showed they were able to do during the early stages of their CT push. Bracken comes in to assist his teammate as they come up through the ramp. Benjamin comes in from connector now, cleaning up 2 players from the ramp and from Sandwich, respectively. Titus with the CZ on the site. Had the weapon in hand where he could have picked up 4 frags. None of them were forthcoming, though, and it is Plasnite opening up a bit of an advantage. 5-2 now in their favour. So, league format. All the maps in the pool being played before we get into the knockout stages of Killer Gaming Season 2. And for some of the maps like Train, like Overpass, you can sometimes forgive a team that hasn't been together for a while for leaving some of those maps alone. Mirage is one, though, where you need to have some tricks in your locker. Playing on something like a Face It or where there's any kind of veto going through, more often than not, Mirage is going to end up in the pool. And the common ones along with Cash. So if you haven't got strats for Mirage, you are going to struggle early stages as a team. Nice smoke comes in, and that's going to give them room to work on to short without having to worry about connector. Fruity, though, in the window, and I think maybe Benjamin was hoping for a teammate to come in from behind. Shady with the AWP up in Palace. Raven to Death, he's getting aggressive on the short, and he's done that on more than one occasion. You think that Plasnite would have needed to deal with that, but they've been caught a little off guard by a couple of these plays from Medieval Esports. Fruity stepping into mid-window without any cover from the top of mid. Raven to Death managing to catch someone from short as well, pushing aggressive from there. And numbers favouring Medieval Esports as they look to get themselves back into things here. Bracken Gets Breeze straight away. Raven of Death under the window. Probably doesn't know about the second player just above him. He probably will have done now with the sound of the pistol being pulled out. Nonsense. Going to catch someone. He gets Fruity. That wasn't even the man he was going for, but the second teammate, that's Disillusion, gets caught in the crossfire. Raven of Death just waits for someone to drop, and his position will have been called away some time ago. So Shady going to get the plant in. Going to use that smoke to give him the cover. Drawing Disillusion out into the open. And as soon as he appears in the wild, the Predators are on him. In comes the pause from Fruity, the team captain of the Medieval Esports side, and they want to have a moment to talk things over here. I think not much for them to worry about too much at this stage. It's possible for teams to take over on their T side on Mirage. It's one of those maps. It's a real momentum map, Mirage. And for that reason, sometimes it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And that can come in either on CT or on T side. Teaching you to suck eggs here, I'm sure, but Counter-Strike, amongst other things, it's a game of economy. You need to be able to build that bankroll to keep the weapons, the armor, the utility that you would like. And it's very quickly for things to get away from you on both sides. If you haven't got the firepower that you need, it can be made very, very difficult for you on both sides. And we'll no doubt get a few examples of that as things push on. Hobot, Nika and Nonsense able to deal with that straight away. 3 players left for Medieval who didn't join that push. Example number 1. You're on an eco, you push mid, one flash completely blinds you, and then you are in the killing zone, allowing the AKs to rip you apart. Nonsense with his third. Hobot, Nika, great AK control. Wasn't quite able to flick to the last man on short, but that nade is a perfect Kobe. Or maybe we'll have to say the Steph Curry, with the way that the Warriors are squaring off in the NBA Finals, taking a 1-0 victory so far. Sorry if that spoiled that for anyone. I probably shouldn't have done that, never mind. But hey, there you go. Medieval Esports then. Despite the 5-round deficit, they are not being shy with their weapon purchases. Double AWP setup. Let's see where those are going. Fruity going to be holding the mid window. Disillusion. CT steps. Hunter Bracken, he's top right of mid towards chair. Let's go sit with Fruity for a minute and see how he plays this as Titus able to pick up Nonsense over towards the A ramp. And Fruity now waits for the smoke to dissipate before he carefully peeks the angle. He's now able to switch in just to watch that tiny little gap. Had a couple of wiggle peaks from Hobot Nika, and I think he must have got legged actually down to 2 points of health, as is Benjamin. Minute left to go on the clock, just over in this, the 10th round. Breeze now coming in to back up towards the CT steps. Fruity up close and personal, and the connector very easy to get swamped from that position, especially when you have the AWP in hand. You don't really have the same mobility. And the same thing, you have players trying to get up close and personal with you with rifles in hand. They try and clear off the steps if they push in from ramp, etc. with smoke cover. 40 seconds left to go. Bomb currently down, will need to be retrieved. See Benjamin, 2 HP in a dream. Going to be making his way in. Do what he can over towards the B side. Maybe just try and make it expensive here. I think they're deciding that they are stuck with very little to do. Hobot Nika sneaks in, able to catch Fruity and grab himself an AWP in from the kitchen. He's only got 2 HP as well, so it's going to be possible to take him out of there. Shady, though, him with the AWP on short, takes down Breeze. 10 seconds left to go. Maybe not enough time. Raven of Death. Imparting death, he steps out. Perfect cover from Shady as the bomb plant comes in. And they are snatching victory from the jaws of defeat here, potentially. Players like Shady with his third. With the AWP that he's able to retrieve from Medieval Esports. Puts the 8th round on the board, the 8th consecutive round. And this is starting to follow a similar pattern to what we saw from the Luxor Bitpoint game that we witnessed not too long ago. One team running away with it, 8 wins on the bounce. Happening on T-side where you would normally expect this kind of run to come in. They have been dominant, and despite a few attempted clutch plays from Raven of Death working in close, they are still having some difficulties. Disillusion sitting back towards Firebox, sees it in hand. He is traded out. Maybe should have sat in and not showed himself. Hobot Nikas jumping through with a 3K and counting. Raven of Death with the Deagle in hand as Plasnite look to put their 9th successive round on the board T side here. And what a performance this is. Raven of Death gets one before Hobot Nika puts the quad kill on the board. Huge play there up against the eco of Medieval Esports, and they are well and truly up against it, but maximum loss bonus. Double AWP set up back out. See what they can do from here. Disillusion with the AWP, going to try and go for an early peak ramp. He's got presence, he's missed the shot, he's taken down by Nonsense. Expensive. And I mean, how often does that happen? Sorry, just clear my throat there a little bit. But you are up against it. Shady takes out Fruity as well. That's the 2 AWPers down from Medieval Esports. But you're feeling the pressure. You've lost a lot of rounds on the spin. You have the opportunity to make, I mean, not the easiest shot. He was partly flashed and partly on the move, but all things considered, one of the more routine AWP shots that you would have to deal with, as Hobot Nika gets his second of the round as well. Coming in huge with the AK entries. Raven of Death, caught in a spray down, had the advantage, but as you saw from the way when things aren't moving in your direction, he gets taken down in that 50-50 battle. And it is going to be Medieval Esports taking another pause. Another chance to talk things over. The 2 players at the bottom, Disillusion and Fruity, they haven't got the cash to put a full buy together because they keep buying the double AWP setup, and it hasn't worked particularly well for them so far. I think purely set out by Hobot Nika, who is 12 rounds in, 18-5, his score. Immensely powerful with the AK. And the trouble you have, if you're AK against AWP on CT side, the AK has the mobility that the AWP doesn't. As we saw in the last game on CT, a CT AWPer can do a lot of damage, and I personally love Mirage when I play on my Smurf a few times with a few friends, and I can usually drop 20 to 25 frags CT side with the AWP in hand when you have that ability to drift around. If they let you have mid control and you can peek that, maybe take a guy who tentatively looks towards the top, you can drop down, you can then make the AWP shot falling on guys in underpass, and from there you are pretty much going to be able to move to wherever you can see the information. If you can get a call from your teammates that it's apartments, you can get with the AWP up onto short and look in that direction. You can get in through connector as well. It's a very, very useful weapon, but this time it's Plasnite in the driving seat. They are on T side, so they are the team that you would need to be putting in the aggression, and they are doing exactly that. When it comes down to making entries, they have been on point and looking very, very strong up to this stage. So good stuff from them. And for Medieval Esports, having a few tough games so far, coming up against some powerful teams. I'm going to be trying to talk things over, working out what they can change. Raven of Death with the AWP in hand. Is he going to keep that? Maybe I think his fortunes are going to be slightly better than his 2 teammates below him in the list. Or is he going to drop that to one of them? I think he's probably going to keep that himself. And it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Going for the double AWP to the single AWP, and a new AWPer entirely. Let's go on board with Raven of Death actually and see where he's going to play this from. I have a feeling he's going to continue on in a similar vein to how he's been playing so far, over towards the B and short area, and he's got to get himself aggressive onto short, try and give him a different angle with a player over towards the mid window to give him that extra foil. And what you'll do is you'll shoulder peek from the mid window while the AWPer gets into position, and straight away Raven the Death gets a frag from there, drops away, and that is really nice work, taking mid control. But Hobot Nika in the meantime has gone huge with 2 frags over towards the A site. Raven the Death has just skipped straight past the man, does get the second frag on the guy over towards Chair, but does he know about the guy in Whole House? Yes, he does. Able to switch. Benjamin completely oblivious to that. At Raven the Death, he's going to need a 5k. Let's get the reverb out. First time of the evening. 2 players to find. A 5-man, though, will put this round on the board. And what a play it will be. Yes, I know the reverb is far, far too big, but this guy comes away with his clutch. Oh, catches another Kobe. No 5k. That will put Raven the Death into positive KDR, the only member of his team that would have been able to achieve that. But instead, Plasnite continue this winning run. 11-2. And this first half flying by at a rate of knots. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. Shady takes Titus straight away. This upgraded pistol eco. Nonsense with the fire kill on Disillusion. Raven the Death going to get himself into the mid window. Nonsense in the meantime with the AK picks Fruity. Hobot Nika hears Raven the Death as soon as he drops. Benjamin probably going to show good AK control, and does. What else would you expect from a team that has now won 12 successive rounds on T side? Plasnite going absolutely huge. Medieval Esports can rebuy. They can go for the double AWP setup, and despite the success they had last time out, those have gone into the hands of Disillusion and Fruity. Maybe thinking that they won't get away with it next time out. It's the only thing I can really think of, and actually it's not happening. Plasnite showing the confidence. They're going to barrel en masse through into the B apartments. The Molotovs go down. One smoke is able to stop that from happening. Raven the Death gets 2 before Nonsense gets his second. He's going to get the plant down. 2 versus 3. Hobot Nika, I think he's on for a 20 bomb if he hasn't picked it up already, and he has. 21-5 the score for him. Fruity comes in from the kitchen door with one of the 2 remaining AWPs, and you have to worry about their mobility. Hobot Nika, he's coming in from behind. That's going to be 23 frags for him as he cleans up 2. Titus last man in the apartments. Nonsense going to try and get his 3rd of the round, I believe. Hobot Nika hungry for frags, trying to tap for the face, and does. 24-5. The confidence to just try and go for 1-tap headshots. Hobot Nika on an absolute tear, playing the lurk role, and unbelievable stuff from him. The amount of times that Plasnite players were catching Medieval Esports players completely unawares from behind, from underpass, getting them from behind that way, coming in from kitchen, from mid window. Medieval just didn't know what to do in that position, and they are so heavily against it now. Like, you try and think of their route back. Win pistol. 13-3. Get the next 2 after that, 13-5. Win the next buy 13-6. Force him onto eco, 13-7. Then you're back into another buy. So it is possible, but it's very difficult. No room for errors. Once again, Breeze tapping away. Titus tapping away as well. Finds Nonsense. The 2 players round about the B site. Disillusion as Prime zone the position of a rotator in from the kitchen. Fruity goes stop, but another push in from behind. Hobot Nika in the form he's in. You wouldn't put him past him. 1 tapping to the face of Fruity, but he's just going to play for time. Call in for his teammates. Just make sure they don't get shot in the back. Titus gets 1 on Bracken, so he tries to come in from the kitchen window. Hobot Nika gets a player. That was Fruity. He does get his man in the end, falls out to Truck, but he's not able to come up with any more magic at this stage. There's going to be 13-3. Medieval Esports, live to fight another day. Should be able to piggyback through and get the next couple, as long as they don't drop one of these 2 AKs that they're forced up into. To Plasnite Gaming, could use that to rip through a whole team if you're not too careful. We'll completely ignore that 5 sets of head armor. It's 1-shot headshot if you're able to connect with the AK in hand. So it is just so deadly, but so are the CZs in the hands of Nonsense and Benjamin. Medieval going slow right now. Don't blame them for doing that. So make sure they don't give up one of those weapons. Wouldn't it be a case of turning the tide? It's pretty much signing their death warrant if the AKs go to the hands of the CTs. Got to be very careful. Raven the Death catches Bracken as he moves in from Connector. Fruity taken down to 34 points of health in the meantime. Mac 10 in hand. 200% kill bonus with that weapon. And then just over $1,000 to purchase. Mac 10, my favoured weapon of choice after winning a T-side pistol. Disillusion wrapping around the site. Medieval showing patience, making sure they clear fully. Don't want to get caught out by boosts, people tucked in at a van, etc., etc. So they clear all of the angles before they put their fourth round on the board. Should see it go to 5. The Medieval sticking back. Waiting for this eco push to come in. Titus gets one. But he's spraying far too much. He does get a second. He's got Raven to Death for help. And Breeze up close. Nice work. But you have to be careful with those eco pushes. You want to get the balance right between being close enough that you can pretty much get the spray down, but far enough away that you're not going to catch a flash, be completely blind, and get mowed down by onrushing players. I think they were maybe just a little bit too passive. You need to be able to tap away at the faces. Medieval go full push against a full buy from Plasnite. You saw Benjamin trying to get himself into sight. Hobart Nika, who else? He's traded away straight away, though. Nonsense gets himself up. Gets 2 frags from over towards Travelator as Plasnite look to win out this first buy versus buy if they can. Sight control is in. Go for the boost. Disillusion with a really tidy flick, so he knows where his last man is. CT steps. They need that to make the boost. So now Disillusion can just wait for the shoulder peek. Going to throw a nade in there just to soften him up a bit. Softens him up by 1 point of health. Come on. Like he took that right to his feet. You've got to wonder sometimes about the nades in this game. He's going to be Titus picking up another one. AWP HP gets asked, I think, quite a lot, to be completely honest there, guys. Medieval Esports, they win the first buy versus buy. They're on a charge. They need to be flawless. They pretty much need to do what Plasnite did and put 13 rounds consecutive on the go. Disillusion. Catch the man as he jumps out the window. Doesn't even fire a shot, though. Maybe not wanting to give the game away just now. Maybe they've got an inkling that they're on an eco. Down goes Shady as he tries to show himself. Titus has to be careful that he's not caught out of position, and that could have been so messy. Titus taken down to 8 points of health. How often could it, or how likely would it have been for him to get taken down, as did Fruity, who was in the same situation. But CZ cleaned up 2 players underpass and dropped an AK to the hands of that CZ player. Nonsense. I mean, that could have been game over. It just shows how a CZ, such an economic purchase, can turn the tide of a game in what should be an eco, in what should probably 80% of the time result in a loss for your team. And it has its problems. I would love to have seen perhaps the UMP to be a more useful weapon, the CZ to be less effective. That makes so much more sense in the grand scheme of things, as did the 5.7. The 5.7 was a good upgrade that you could go for. Now completely useless, completely pointless having a 5.7. And think actually someone used it in a game earlier on in this week, or maybe the week before. I can't remember now, but yeah, baffling to see that happen. Might have been a 10-man actually, which kind of says it all. 10-man's the place where I try and prove that the M249 is a legitimate weapon. As Medieval Esports continue on with their charge. trying to replicate what was done by Team Plasnite, and 5 rounds on the board. That's not a bad way to start. Disillusion with the AWP. He's got another AWP for company, and Hobotnika shows himself. It wasn't an AWP, actually. Shady's got that, and he's playing from a different position this time. Hobotnika, the man that went huge with the AK last time out, maybe trying to show a little bit of that same aggression that worked so well. He was misguided this time, walks himself into the AWP scope that was there in the same position. AWP in B apartments, little questionable in my opinion. You're very limited in what you can do from there. Raven Death, he's maybe going to catch nonsense. Does catch nonsense. Good AK control, finding the face. Benjamin gets lit up by Fruity, actually, who gets himself into connector. Perfectly timed. Bracken going to get one, maybe a chance for a second, and he'll, if nothing else, be calling the player that skipped in. Bracken now moves away. And I think actually that was set up perfectly. Disillusion waiting in the apartments with a call from a teammate that he took a few shots over towards from the short. Really nice work from these guys, Medieval, and they are again back on a tear. I think something that we'll have to talk about if this continues on is how you set yourself up on CT side. On Mirage, and I'll talk about a few of my tips for it. If you watch the first game of week 4, well, I'd say those tips will sound familiar, but we will talk about it nonetheless and touch on it very briefly. Shady, he's going to try and keep hold of that solitary AWP. Medieval Esports, sorry, look to put yet another round on the board. They do go on the hunt. His position has been known. Raven of Death goes for the knife, picks his pocket, will take that extra cash in the bank. And Medieval Esports, sorry, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble saying that today, with plenty of money in the coffers. Same thing that we saw last time out, we are seeing it again. The team goes on a run, then they are continually building their bankroll, while on the CT side they are strugs to put anything together. Another pistol eco coming in from Plasnite. 3 CZs, they can be game changing, but they are situational and you have to get on the right angle. Now maybe isn't the time to talk about CT setups, but neither one of these sides have been able to take any real map control on CT, and I think we need to touch on some of the reasons why that might be and things that I need to start thinking about for the future. If you're not laughing, you're learning, as I like to say, and it could be a school day for 2 of these teams that are dominant. Raven of Death with a nice AK control for the shot on nonsense, just watching for the push towards ramp. WTF and a question mark drops in. And, I mean, the shot, if you're looking in that direction with the AK in hand, you should be able to make that shot fairly comfortably. It's standard AK control to find the face from that kind of distance, but maybe just questioning why anyone would be watching the push behind. Well, why not? You've got numbers advantage, number 1. You're expecting an eco, number 2. So on an eco, the kind of areas that you would push are mid and from the A ramp to try and catch someone unawares from behind. That's exactly what Plasnite were doing for a number of times on their T side, is pushing in from behind and getting people that weren't expecting it from those angles. So not really sure why Nonsense was so surprised by that, but never mind. It's one of those frustrating times when things aren't going your way and you do rage at how keen someone is when they go and push those angles. Hobotnika gets one, but he's traded out instantly. That trade does no favours for Plasnite CT defence. Smoke in the mid window means that they can't really get too much mid control. Titus drops a perfectly placed nade into the feet of Shady, who drops away. Making use of that new bit of wall behind where Chair is, gives you that extra little angle to work from. I should get in from mid. Medieval just letting Plasnite know that they have mid control. Plasnite, if they are wise, just going to sit back, let them have that mid control, and wait for them to instead execute over towards one of the bomb sites. Bomb gets picked up over towards spawn, make its way over towards A. The apartments player getting out of dodge, as they, with 45 seconds left to go on the clock, and ticking away rapidly. Now set themselves up for an A execute. Let's see where the smokes, etc. are going to be coming in from. Fruity team captain, we will follow this one in. And I'm going to break away from that very quickly before it sticks me in that position, as we found out earlier on in the week. Bracken with the AWP on Fruity straight away. First to engage over towards the ramp. 15 seconds left to go. They need to get site control. Titus does find Bracken spraying through the smoke. Don't know if he saw a leg poking out or what it was, but the bomb plant does come in. So that's one worry off of the mind of Medieval Esports, and Titus comes in. He does get the second. Benjamin there to try and help his teammate. They do get the 1-for-1 trade as a Disillusion with the AWP catches Shady up from the Palace area. Benjamin, last man standing, does get Disillusion actually raving to death in the spray down, and they continue on this tear as the AWP gets picked up. Disillusion actually playing from Firebox. Hobot Nika looking to put his 30 bomb on the board, but if we're talking football and a player ends up scoring a hat-trick but his team loses 4-3, does it really matter? And from Team Plasnite, after their dominant 13-2 performance on T-side, look to be throwing this away. And look at this. We've seen 23 rounds of Counter-Strike. Only 2 have gone in the direction of CT. And this isn't a hard and fast T-side map either. It's not like we're playing Cobblestone here, guys, where 1 or 2 rounds on your CT is enough to bring it home for you. No way. I mean, Mirage is a map where you can go 13-2 on your CT as well, depending on how things pan out. Very, very odd stuff coming in. And it's from 2 contrasting styles, I think, on the T side as well. Plasnite were beyond dominant. They went and got straight in the grill of these Medieval Esports players. Super aggressive. Players pushing in from behind, super aggressive. Trying to catch people unawares more often than not they did. Medieval are much more methodic in the way that they go through and the way that they play on their T side. They wait. They look for opportunities. More often than not, they're loosening Plasnite up by taking out a player early doors, and then they push en masse when they go and work an angle. None of this disjointed. 2 players come through and then a Molotov splits them up and a couple get stuck in apartments kind of thing over towards B. They are working together as a unit. They are being patient. They're letting Plasnite throw in their utility, and then they are countering it in the right way with their flashes, with smokes to put out Molotovs and that kind of thing, and then they are working together as a unit. Players pouring out en masse with someone sitting back watching the angles if they got the AWP. Very, very strong stuff. For a Plasnite to counter this, they need to start thinking about fast rotates, because Medieval are that little more cautious when they make their entries. It gives them time for those rotates to come in, and they need to pair that up by not showing too early. If they don't give away the life of a player and drop it back to 5v4 early doors like they have been and might be here again if they're not careful, and Bracken would do well to drop out of there quickly, and does. Okay, now they can wait. Now they can be a little more patient. They can set up the crossfires as they have, and they can get the B players coming in on the rotate to be able to deal with this. This is a better setup, and now Shady, you see, he comes in on the rotate. When they have all 5 players left alive, it gives them that opportunity to have players rotating in from behind, which they haven't had before. And now Medieval, they need to rethink this. They haven't got numbers in their favour. Despite this tear that has been going on, it could be game over pretty quickly. They still have the cash to keep buying if they do drop this one, so not too much of a problem, but if they have to rebuy everything and they get reset, this is where the pressure starts to mount. And it's often in these situations where one team is so close to the finish line where a break in the economy can end up bringing a team home. And Plasnite will be looking to work from this. 20 seconds left to go. Medieval, they have the money to rebuy these weapons, so they may as well have a play to get the bomb plant down, and they do. Shady that manages to catch Titus as he gets himself towards Firebox, but they've got themselves embedded in nicely. That smoke is going to be difficult, so the push has to come in. Disillusion though, with the AWP in hand, he's doing what he can over towards the ramp, trying to throw a distraction, give enough time for Raving the Death to get out. The defuse comes in, and Plasnite bring it to 14-13. Now this is the thing you have to be wary of. They have got themselves quick mass, 9 rounds of loss bonus. Plasnite will be buying everything they can, but they have fully spent into this, pretty much. They lose this, and they lose all that lost bonus that are picked up. They're getting $1,450 out of this round. This is Medieval Esports. It's time to bring it home. Breeze gets one on Bracken. I don't really know how that worked out. It's actually Nonsense missed the shot. It looked to be on my screen, but it wasn't on his, and that's the important thing. And they push in. This is a Plasnite style push. This is a Luxor Esports style push with how quickly and how aggressively they put themselves into the bomb site. They caught Plasnite a little off guard, actually, and now the smokes come in. Now they give themselves this cover. Perfectly timed. Titus gets himself up onto the boost, catches Nonsense, who is completely white, and again falls away. Could have stuck up there long enough and waited for that player in jungle, but Medieval are going to get themselves back on. Raven the Death working from underwood. His position is known. Shady looking in that direction and does get the spam through the wood. Has to push though. Shady does pick it up. Has he got time for the defuse? He's gone for it. He's not saving the AWP, and oh, he's gone down. He didn't get it by the skin of his teeth. It's fallen away from him. And could that be the deciding round? Plasnite, well, they're up against it. As we said, 1450 lost bonus coming in their direction. Nika has put himself at the 30 bomb on the board, but he's been super, super quiet in the CT side. 26 rounds Counter-Strike. 3 rounds going to CT. And we're not playing Counter-Strike Source Train. We are not playing Cobblestone. This is Mirage, everyone. Fruity looking to get his second. He's got a teammate there for assistance. He didn't need him, actually. That was Bracken coming in from behind. But they set up the crossfire nonetheless. Continuing to take map control. Molotov comes in. Nonsense going to do what he can with the CZ, and he steps out and he tries to face, and he takes Disillusion down to 43 points of health. But he's able to duck away and keep the AWP in hand. Breeze steps out, grabs Benjamin. Looks and clears Sandwich. They have site control. Go get themselves in, get a bomb plant from here. Huge stuff from Medieval Esports. Go get the play on Nonsense is Fruity. He was down to super low. They've got the number on the last guy as well. That's Bracken. Down he goes. Medieval Esports 13. Plasnite 14. Comeback of champions here from Medieval. Having been 13-2 down. Huge, huge stuff from them. And you look at Plasnite. Fully committed, fully spent again into this round in what could bring Medieval Esports even to 14-14. And then as they look to put their 15th on the board and guarantee themselves a draw, that's a double pick straight away. Plasnite are not going to be able to get the buy that they want going into this next round if Medieval pick it up. This could be huge. This could be comeback of the season. Not from what we've seen so far, but from the whole league. It's going to be difficult to see anyone beating this if they're able to bring it home. 16-14 Medieval. Raven the Death. He's battling away with the guy towards Sandwich, able to flick to the man skipping up from Wood. I think it will have been the sound that gave it away, and he was able to get back on the fight towards the Sandwich guy, who is eventually cleaned up by a teammate. Titus catches Shady, and they fell as if that was an eco bash, but it wasn't really. They had a couple of M4s up, which have now been dropped. Scouts, umps, that kind of thing. Full force going into this one. Plasnite want to pick this one up. They still want the victory, 16-14. But by doing so, if they drop this, they could be throwing away the game altogether. Medieval, they don't have to worry about cash. They've got plenty of it. All of the money available for them to spend. And at the two teams, I'm actually liking Medieval's T attack more. They've got a couple of changes of pace they can work from. Nika, nice work from him, showing that aggression that worked so well for them on T side as he works himself through into underpass. One flash and push. Completely white. Disillusion though, spams through, gets one, tries to flick towards the second, and what a shot that would have been. Had he come away with it. Pure clutch if you make that flick in apartments. But it doesn't matter. He keeps himself alive, ready to fight one more time. And maybe Medieval going to be looking to execute over towards the A site. What a spectacle we are seeing. I've struggled with close games. I haven't had too many in Season 2 of Killer Gaming, but what a game we've got here. Still finely poised, 40 seconds left to go in the penultimate round. Nonsense might be able to catch someone. Disillusion, that's the AWP. Walking in, he's got his utility in hand, and down he goes. Very, very quickly. Numbers favour Plasnite. They haven't got the full spend whatsoever. Breeze on his way out. He knows about the guy in apartments, but he can't do too much about it. He can, though, pick up Benjamin, who he does get one. Going to throw that nade in. Bracken trying to spam through the smoke. That nade gets caught by Bracken, but he's still got 82 points of health. Bomb plant is down once again. That's the time pressure gone. As Breeze, no, Shady, sorry, over towards Sandwich. And Nonsense gets one as well. The last man gets taken down. Plasnite at the death. Snatch AKs. Get the defuse in. Save themselves from a very, very difficult economic situation. And you see, and Bracken, who kept himself alive, wouldn't have been able to put a rebuy together. They will drop what they can. They will get what utility they will can. And Plasnite, 13-2 on their T side. Nearly like they could have thrown it away, but they have guaranteed themselves at least a point after that huge first half that they have. A lot of people would say deserved. Me too. When a team looked that dominant in the first half on T side, then you would feel very hard done by to throw this away. But you've got to feel for Medieval Esports if they aren't able to pick this one up and at least salvage a point out of this thing. And they've started it in the way that they've started so often on their T side, with a pick and with a numbers advantage. Minute 15 left to go. A couple of times they left it quite close before they've got the bomb plant down in the site. They have been able to do that, and I'm sure they will continue to use every second available to execute the best possible play onto whatever site they want to go for. 3 players stacking over towards the B site here. But Breeze, he takes down Bracken. 5v3 in favour of Medieval Esports. For the draw, for the point. Bomb plant comes in with 45 seconds left to go. Plenty of time. Molotov from Fruity completely wasted. Benjamin using the gap in the smoke to try and see if anyone crosses. Breeze, maybe. No, he's tucked himself in. Underwood. 2 players over towards Firebox. They're going to catch that nade, and they are both dented by about 30 points of health each. Raven the Death and Disillusion. But their position currently not known. Titus and Disillusion pick up those 2 frags. GGs are exchanged. 15-15 it is between Medieval Esports and Team Plasnite, and what a game. What a spectacle, and we need to pull away and talk about that just for a short moment. As I knock off the music, we don't need any of that. And I can't show you that because I haven't set it up. Try to do too much on the fly with a single monitor. I need to invest in that second monitor, and it's going to be so much easier. But what a contest between Medieval and Plasnite. Plasnite looking dominant, 13-2 on their T side, and then they come and Medieval storm back to bring it to 15-15 by matching their score 13-2. From Plasnite, they were pretty one-paced in the way they went about it on their T side, and it was akin to the way that Luxor have been playing in some of the games we've witnessed from them on their T side. It was a pure barrage of players entering the site, showing no fear and engaging with AKs, etc., against the rifles, against the AWPs, and coming out on top more often than not. For Medieval, they showed a slightly different approach. They were coming away with the opening picks early doors more often than not, and that is something that Plasnite will need to look at going forward as to how they threw away such a dominant position early on. They were able to use the rotates when they did have that man advantage, or when they just had the free man. And very quickly on CT side, if you lose a man, it means that you've got an angle that isn't covered. So someone has to either drift away from the position and the angle they're watching, opening that up to cover the gap, or where that gap's opened up, you leave that as open. So it makes it very difficult. And usually that free man is one that can come in and rotate behind on the other angle. If you've got, say, a push from the apartments, you want to have two players towards bench and kitchen actually engaging. It can be the guy that comes in behind from short, from mid, that can catch the guys unaware and catch them when they get onto the bomb site, while your other two teammates and maybe bench and kitchen are drawing the fire from the on-rushing tees. They didn't have that enough times, and it was far too comfortable. From Medieval, I like the way that they play on T side as a unit. They've got the smokes ready to deal with Molotovs. When they push en masse. So often, towards the B apartments push on T side, you'll get two players that come through. You'll get two that are stuck behind a Molotov. No one's got a smoke to put the thing out. And then the two players that have dropped out already get mowed down. It's very easy to then deal with the remaining two. And then you might have an AWPer come strutting in from mid into short and get taken out far too late. For Medieval, they were all out together when they were engaging, aside from the one man hanging behind who'd be the late push on, say, the kitchen. The kitchen guy looking towards the players falling out the site, dealing with them. The last guy coming out of apartments is able to take his face clean off. From both of these teams, well, for Plasnite, I think they just threw it away by losing that man early doors, but they both need to look at their CT setup and maybe look at some of the things that I talked about in the first game of week number 4. Over towards the A site, the smokes that come in, you can actually use those to your advantage on CT side. You can use those to give you the cover to either push from the boxes when you go for the retake, or just to spam through. You know where the plant's going to be coming from, or you know one of the few angles, so you can spray through with the smoke as your cover and sometimes take out the bomb planter or take out someone who's crossing site towards firebox or just getting into position. You can use that well. And as we saw from Yanavar in the opening game, where he picked up a 3K, jumping over the box by Ticket Booth, using the smoke as cover, getting into the site, cleaning out players from there before they really knew what was happening. If you let that smoke dissipate, then they know where you're going to be coming from. They can look in your direction and they can deal with you. So I think something they need to look at is how they can use the smokes to good effect. For Plasnite, make sure they don't give away that player early on CT side. And yeah, I think back to drawing board for both teams. Mirage can play heavily T-sided, but it can also play heavily CT-sided. And if you're getting run through by an aggressive T-side or just a T-side that are getting opening picks and then using the numbers advantage, then there is something quite clearly wrong with your setup and something that you need to look at going forward. Two huge contests, though, that we've seen. We saw two undefeated sides earlier on tonight between BitPoint and... Oh, this is terrible. I was watching it not too long ago. Between BitPoint and... I'm going to check. That was so close that I've completely forgotten what was going on. So let's get back to super professional as always. BitPoint versus Luxor. There we go. So two undefeated sides squaring off against each other. And even though the score maybe didn't reflect it, BitPoint were in it to win it on a couple of those games. And then also we saw this epic 15-15 encounter. Still got one more game to show you on Mirage for week number 4. That's going to be available for you 7 p.m. Tomorrow. So that's one for you to enjoy on your Saturday. That is going to be 5 Degree and Team Serious. So look forward to that one. 7 p.m. on the same stream tomorrow. Hopefully that you can watch that. And then we're going to be into week 5 action. We've got Nuke, which has undergone a few changes recently. So we'll see. We can talk about those changes, what kind of effect it has on the way that Nuke plays. And it's another one of those maps where teams will so often look in other directions. And you know, those that haven't practiced, they can get caught out on Nuke. So going to be one to look forward to. This has been Crossy. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you to Switchblade Jay, who jumped in with me for the first game of the night. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and I will catch you again tomorrow for that game between 5 Degree and Team Serious. Thank you very much.